So it's cleaning day for the HKs, at least a couple of them. HK51 is extremely dirty. I probably put 1,000 rounds through it of various steel case and brass ammo. So it's pretty filthy. Shot in full auto. Just want to show you how dirty these freaking guns get. They shit where they eat, so if you thought an AR-15 was dirty, these things are 10 times as worse. Trigger pack is pretty filthy. And I don't really disassemble this thing too much. I'll probably take the sear out, and sometimes I'll drop the whole thing in a sonic cleaner, but I guess it's not too bad right now. I'll just spray it down good and get in there with Q-tips and wipe it off with a rag the best I can. But yeah, just crap gets everywhere, especially when you're shooting really dirty ammo like Tula and Brown Bear and Wolf and all that shit. So this has probably seen, gosh, 2,000 rounds since it's been cleaned, because I do swap this pack to different host guns, and some of the guns have been suppressed, like the SP5K PDW over there, and that just blows back everything into the pack. So one of the joys of owning a roller delayed blowback HK. Bolt is pretty grimy. You can see it just gets caked with shit. And I shot this probably, yeah, it was a week ago I shot this. So it's just been sitting in my safe without being cleaned. Ran good though. I mean, it was filthy. I didn't have any problems with it all the times I shot it. But you can see all that caked on fucking shit. Locking piece gets pretty dirty. Firing pin isn't too bad. Then you tend to get a lot of buildup underneath here where that locking arm is, and under the cocking lever extension on the carrier there. That's not a crack, that's just carbon flaking off. So we'll soak it and clean it up and be good as new. Just takes a lot of elbow grease. And like I said, sometimes I do put them in sonic cleaner, but it strips all the oil off of all the metal. I don't really like doing that too much unless it's really dirty, and it doesn't really do that good of a job. You still really gotta scrape the carbon off and do some other elbow work to it, elbow grease to it. And I generally shoot this without a flash hider because it's kind of cool to see the fireballs and all that. There's a cocking lever support that gets kind of crudted up too with stuff. And the worst is kind of in there inside the trunnion area. You can't really see it. I don't have the best lighting, but that will take some solvent and let it soak, and then take a special HK brush and clean it out with that wire brush there. And then I get between the barrel and the trunnion and scrape all the crap off that's in there with a like a dental pick. That works pretty well. Barrel doesn't look too bad. Didn't shoot any corrosive ammo out of it. So yeah, just wanted to show you how I tackle this. I'm not really going to film it all, but I'll show you the end result. All that shit gets blown back into the rear plate there. So that's all filthy. Definitely want to wear gloves. So, got my work cut out for me. Alright, so I'm glad that task is complete. The thing was filthy, and now she's pretty clean. And like I said, if I wanted to get extremely clean, I would have put it in an ultrasonic cleaner, but I didn't want to do that, so I just did it by hand and lubed it up some oil, and it should be good to go. So I did take the sear out, just because I like to take it out, clean it, inspect it, and put a little lube on it. Make sure it's good to go, and it seems fine. So she's cleaned. She's got a little bit of oil on there. I'll put a little bit more just because it's an expensive little part right here. Sort of catch interfaces with it right there, so that sees a little bit of wear, and that's where the trip lever rubs against. But these things are pretty much indestructible. Never heard of one breaking. All right, so to put it back in, see if I can remember how to do this. I believe that goes like that. And got my pin. And it's handy to have a punch. Hard part is getting it started here. So I usually just drive a punch through. And I work the pin in from the other side. Gotta make sure it's all lined up, which it's not. All right, starting to go. Sometimes it helps to have 3 hands, but give it a little tap here. It should go. You would think. Come on. There she goes. So the sear is back. That's how it goes in. And I'm gonna take the hammer spring out because I got a 308 spring in there right now. So you take your trusty hammer spring tool from HK. Push that in. That collar drops out. Then you can pull your spring. Make sure your compression rod doesn't slip off the stud there, because that can get all bound up in there with the counting wheel if that gets canted when you're taking it off, so just be careful of that. And there's my 9mm through 5.56 spring. That'll pop in. And you take your tool. I like to do this upside down like that. If I can get it right. There we go. Depress that, you pop your collar on there, and then I just kind of push it back into place. So there's your hammer spring change out. That's good to go. And then I'm going to change out the ejector. Put the spring back in there, and I'm going to put a 9mm ejector on there. And I just put a little bit of lube kind of where the wear parts are, where areas are. Not much, just enough to say so. And your stud that goes back in. So that's all set for 9mm. And I'm going to put it into the MP5K housing. Make sure it's in there. And I said this in other videos, but you got to make sure this compression rod is in the appropriate location, which it is. It kind of goes on the stud there, and you want to make sure this counting wheel is lined up in that hole. So then you can just put your left side in, right side. Make sure you're centered on there, fully engaged. So right now I don't have it fully engaged. You don't want to force it, or otherwise you're going to booger up the inside of this pack here, the housing. This little stud will start just binding up in there, and you'll be having some problems with the rotation of it. You can feel it. So let's see if I can do that again. All right, there we go. So you got to make sure it's pushed in all the way, and then you can rotate it. So that pack is set, ready to go into a new hose gun. Set that aside. And I'm just going to put a semi-auto pack into the 51 for now, because I'm not going to be shooting it for a while. And these selectors for a semi-auto are different than a full auto selector. So if you do get a full auto pack and you want to change out your selectors, make sure you get the right ones. So there's that. And I'll put together the 51. So I like to just kind of lube the rails a little bit where the rollers ride on, and pretty much just any area that has wear on it. Sometimes I'll just put it on a little brush and brush it in. You don't have to go too crazy. So that's about all I do with the receiver. If there's any wear marks on the top of the receiver, just kind of brush a little oil on there and that's fine. So next is firing pin spring. A little bit of lube on there. A bit of lube on the spring. Kind of work it in a little bit. And I do put a little bit of lube in these areas here where the locking piece goes, and make sure that's well coated. Brush it in. So firing pin goes in there, and the locking piece, a little bit of lube on that as well. She's all clean now, which is nice. Now, you rotate that until that little nub kind of goes into that little window area there. And then, first I'm going to lube my bolt. This thing was filthy, a lot of carbon on it. So, just brush a little bit of lube on there. A little bit in there where the locking piece goes. Sometimes I take some of this extreme weapons grease and just kind of put a little bit on the rollers. Probably helps with friction and all that. Some people don't do that because it gets kind of gummed up, but I've never really had that problem. And then, see if I remember how to do this. I push it in all the way down. Then I take the rollers, kind of push back. It's hard to do on camera. Then rotate. All right, so that's good. Rollers are out, and it should be able to drop right into the receiver. I'm gonna put a little bit of grease over here too, just a hair. And then Drops right into the receiver. Boom. Take my semi-auto pack, throw it on there, and this is registered as a SBR as well as a machine gun host. Pins. Handguard. And she's assembled, clean, ready to go. Always a pain in the ass. Hate cleaning these things, but it's an investment. You gotta take care of them. And I had a flash hider in here somewhere. I'm not sure where I put it. Not worried about it. So that's that. Back in business. And I'll probably put this into the PDW once I clean it.